I'm joined now by conservative Ohio Congressman and Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Congressman, it's wonderful to see you. Before we get to Kash Patel's appearance in front of your committee today, you know, I've been pressing your colleagues, you probably heard about this, maybe you didn't. I've been pressing your colleagues on this show about the reason I think our country is now enduring leftist political violence. I pointed out to your colleagues how Democrat rhetoric has dehumanized Republicans. Nazis, brown shirts, terrorists, white supremacists, et cetera. That's what they call conservatives and you Republicans. And I pointed out that since the GOP kicked fellow Republican George Santos out of Congress, Democrats who have admitted to breaking the laws, Dems who were indicted, and Dems who have pledged allegiance to foreign nations, they are protected by fake Republicans in Congress. Isn't GOP timidity and the party's refusal to hold Democrats accountable partially responsible for making political assassinations a horrific reality now in our country?
Well, I think the course we need to take is the course Charlie Kirk took. And that is just to present the facts, present the truth, do it in a compelling way, do it with a smile on our face, and just give the truth out there. I think if we do that, that's how we win. But defend the truth. I thought your opening monologue was tremendous. That's how Charlie Kirk communicated. That's what we need to do. And if we do that, and frankly, that means saying the truth. I always say this. I think the left is, their positions are crazy. You can go down the list. It's crazy to defund the police. It's crazy not to have a border. It's crazy to say men should compete against women in sports. You just talked about that. The left has a disdain for us. You don't have to take my word for it or your word for it, what they say. Remember, I go to the one example that I think is Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. He's walking into the Walmart, and he said, I'm in the Northern Virginia Walmart. I can smell the Trump supporters. So there's this disdain they have for conservatives. And then finally, I always point out the left has a template, and we should call it out. The left will tell a lie. Big media will report the lie. Big tech will amplify the lie, and then when you tell the truth, they call you a racist or some other crazy name they'll come after you on. We just got to keep telling the truth, and I think in the end, that will prevail. That's why you saw President Trump, who told the truth, win on November 5th. That's why you see people supporting his actions that are actually making America great again.
I agree with you about telling the truth, Congressman, and again, it was telling the truth about George Santos, but the Republicans didn't stop about telling what they said was the truth. They kicked him out. He was only accused of a crime, as is Congresswoman Democrat MacIver. She's accused of a crime with video evidence of her getting violent with federal agents, sir. So George Santos is a Republican. He gets booted out by Republicans, but Miss MacIver, who's also indicted, she doesn't get kicked out by Republicans because you Republicans, it's fair to say, you have a different standard for Republicans and Democrats, don't you?
Well, look, I voted against kicking George Santos out of Congress. I always think that is a decision between the member and the people who live in that respective congressional district. That's how our system works. We, the people, are ultimately in charge. And it seems to me if they've elected an individual to serve in that position until they decide something else, the benefit of the doubt should go to the people and the families who live in that respective congressional district. So I voted against kicking George Santos out of Congress. Again, I think the best defense to all this is the example Charlie Kirk set. He did it with a smile on his face. He did it with the right amount of energy. I always say he followed that scripture verse. 2 Timothy 4:7, he fought the good fight, he finished the course, and he kept the faith. And he did that right up until this terrible thing happened. That is the example we need to set and have that kind of courage that he did to present the truth in a loving and happy way with the right kind of energy like Charlie always did. We do that, I think we win in the end.
And he equally applied it across the board to everybody, not just one side. During today's hearing, you took aim at Senator Adam Schiff for leaking classified intelligence to promote Russiagate. Watch.
A Democrat staffer on the committee said this: they were pressured to leak classified information, which sort of raises the obvious question. Why would the head of the Intelligence Committee, the chair of that committee, who's supposed to be guarding our secrets, why would he be encouraging the leaking of classified information? Whistleblower told us that answer as well. The leaked information was supposed to be used, the leaked information, false information was going to be used to indict President Trump.
See, Schiff is a prime example, Congressman. Not only did he weaponize, according to the whistleblowers, intelligence against Americans. He lied about a phone call that President Trump had with Ukraine's President Zelensky to smear him. When it came time to punish Mr. Schiff, actually make him pay consequences for what he's done, for hurting this nation, it was 20 fake Republicans who saved him from being meaningfully punished. Should you and other conservatives allow those fake Republicans to tarnish the GOP brand that President Trump is trying to save?
I would say a couple things. One, if you remember, the former Speaker of the House actually took him off the Intelligence Committee. So there was that action taken by Republicans. Second, I think this is one of the big takeaways from today's hearing, Chris. I think Kash Patel as much as said that Comey, Brennan, Clapper, and the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, now United States Senator from California, it sure seemed like they are all under investigation. They talked about this special task force that the Attorney General has set up to look into this grand conspiracy. And I think that, as I did this a couple times with Director Patel, I think that is entirely appropriate because never forget, and I know you know this and your viewers know this, this is when it all started. 2016 is when this whole weaponization of the Justice Department started, and it was all to go get President Trump and undermine his first term. Frankly, it even started before he got elected because they were spying on his campaign, using the dossier as the basis to get the warrant to do so. That is how bad it was. So this is where it all started, and it looks like now because of the good work of Director Patel and the people at the Justice Department, like the Attorney General, that there's now a special task force, special strike forces, I believe that the term the Attorney General has used, that are looking into this, which I interpreted, I think anyone watching that hearing would interpret as these individuals are being investigated.
Yes, and reports multiple grand juries out there as well. President Otto Penn and the Obamaites that populated the last regime targeted Christians using the awesome power of the American government. From commentators to grassroots conservatives, the refrain is the same. Quote, "We know what they did was illegal. When are the leftists who broke faith with the American people and broke the law going to jail?" Congressman, how would you answer them?
Well, again, I think with this Justice Department, you are seeing that. You're seeing them look at the fact that they changed the intelligence community assessment in 2016 and early 2017 to say something that the intelligence didn't support. And when they did that, they knew it was baloney. There was the one email we brought out today in our opening statement where we talked about Mr. Clapper says, that's our story and we're sticking to it. We may have to compromise normal modalities. That's fancy words for we're going to change the rules. We're not going to follow the rules. That's what they did. So this idea of accountability, I do think that's being looked at. The other big takeaway for me, Chris, I think there were two key takeaways. One is I think there's a real investigation going on of these key people who I think were involved in the start of this whole weaponization at the Justice Department. That's one. Second one was what Kash Patel is doing by not weaponizing and not politicizing the FBI. No more spying on parents, no more spying on Catholics, no more spying on President Trump, no more spying on Americans, no more looking at what they buy at Cabela's and, oh, they might be a terrorist. No more of that. But what he is doing is putting agents on the street, and bad guys are going behind bars now. Huge number, huge increases in bad guys coming off the street. That's what happens when you focus on the core mission of the FBI, which is stopping the bad guys from doing bad things to Americans. That's what Kash Patel is doing. He stopped the political stuff, and he's focused on getting the bad guys. That's a good thing for the country.
Folks, see, this is how it works. This is how conservatives have debate and discussion. Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you very much, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you here on the program.